Good morning and happy Sunday. The last day of rest before we all go back to work. It's about, I don't know, 6:30 in the morning. I'm not sure. Maybe it's 5:30. Anyway, first night back in my own bed after vacation, and that's always fabulous, right? You come back from vacation, like you've had such a good time, and you come home and you get to sleep in your own bed, and that's just like, such a good feeling. Had a friend call me last night, struggling with, which I'm so honored and thankful that she called me, struggling with one of her kids, like in their relationship. And so we talked it through. And I asked a lot of questions, and I think just so I could gain better understanding, perspective, all while trying to stay supportive and, and loving, I listened a lot. And, excuse me, I got to a point where I had to stop her. Because everything she was saying was about her. So, as an example, and she's not on social media, so I'm not outing her, and I would never do that, but it brought up some emotions in me. She was saying how, like, her child had always been her best friend, and I can't believe, she's turned her back on me, and, like, I have no one to talk to, and that made me feel bad, like, that she feels like she has no one else to talk to, to support her or comfort her or what have you. And I cut her off, and I told her, I said, listen, and I honored her feelings, meaning, you feel deserted, you feel like you don't have a best friend anymore, or, that your best friend has let you down. But your best friend is your child. That's your child. And it doesn't matter that she's an adult. Her child. Like, it doesn't matter. That's still your child. That's still your baby. Raising my kids, and I'm not perfect. Please understand. God bless. I've made some mistakes or errors in judgment, or, maybe not the right decision. What I will say is that every decision I made or consequence I delivered to my children was always about them, never about me. I would run into a burning building for any one of my kids or my daughter-in-laws. Like, they get that part of me now too. My kids were never my best friend. They were never my friend, raising them. And there were a few times I had to tell them that, because, oh, Brittany's mom, they're best friends. I'm not your friend. I'm your mom. Now, that didn't mean we didn't do fun stuff. Act a fool, going shopping, go to the park. There were times I would, show up with their favorite lunch from, McDonald's or whatever. They were much younger. And sit and eat lunch with them, and then stay and play on the playground. Because that's the kind of school we had. It was, again, a long time ago. Like, my oldest two are in their 30s. And, and sometimes I would go and pick one of them up, like, they were struggling or having a tough time. And you know what? You don't have to stay for the last hour of class. And I'd take them to the movies. So, I mean, you don't have to be your kid's friend, and they're not required to be yours. There's a lot of responsibility in that. You put a lot of responsibility on your child by forcing them into a best friend relationship. Your job is to discipline them, to guide them, to love them, protect them, cheer for them, support them, but not be their best friend, because you're not. You're their parent. You're supposed to be raising them to be good humans, to, love their fellow man and be kind and all of that. And I feel like if you pigeonhole your child into a best friend relationship, you lose sight of that. You lose sight of that. And you kind of lose that parental, well, not kind of, you do. You lose that parental role. Like, how do you shift between that? Oh, you're my best friend. Let me tell you everything going on in my life. But then the next day they do something and you try to switch into mom role, and it just lends itself to confusion. Like, wait a minute, I thought we were besties. So that's my spiel. That's my my perspective. Whether agreed with or not, I'm not anybody else's parent but my own 3 children. So I will continue parenting the way I always have. And even as adults, I don't make them carry, nor do I ask, nor would I ever expect them to carry the weight of what I'm going through. In anything, not even just this terminal illness. I don't want them to carry that for me, with me, because they're my children. They're my babies. They're adults, but they're my babies, and I will always shield them. I will always shield them from my pain. Always, because they don't have to carry that with me. That's on me, and finding the right outlets for myself. Because first and foremost, I'm their mom. And yes, the 3 of us, individually with each of my kids, we've built a friendship. Of course we have. They're adults now. Of course we can be friends. Because the raising part is done. The raising part is done. And they are amazing humans. I'm very fortunate. I'm very fortunate. And now we can have friendships. And that has been fabulous. At the beginning, kind of weird. But, you have new territory that you're not familiar with, especially with my oldest. He was the first adult child. But anyway, let your kids be kids. Just be their parent. Be their safe space. Be the person they need to teach them how to navigate the world. And they can't do that if they're your best friend. Like, they shouldn't be your confidant. They shouldn't. Again, my opinion, and I know people aren't going to agree with me, but they shouldn't be your confidant. They don't understand that kind of stuff that you're going through. So, anyway, that's it for me. Much love.